Well, the weekend is coming to an end. Hope you guys enjoyed this weekend. We just had NXT Takeover 31. So right now I'm going to review not only that, but also going to review NXT UK this past Thursday, and of course New Japan Strong with the continuation of the Lion Break Crown. So all of that is coming up on Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, many promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. Before I start reviewing NXT UK, New Japan Strong with the Lions Break Crown, and of course NXT Takeover, there's been an interesting development that took place today. Apparently, former WWE star Jack Gallagher just finally broke his silence after what? Let's see, today's October, September, August, July, almost 5 months since he was accused of sexual allegations that put him on the spotlight, that cost him his position and job with WWE. Now, some of you are saying right now, what does this creep has to say? Well, let's look at it this way. We have seen some wrestlers that denied the allegations. We've seen guys like Joey Ryan, who some of you know I mentioned him a few times, where he even made that video. But finally, he actually made a statement about this. So I'm gonna read exactly what he said, so you guys tell me what you think. Following an allegation made in June of 2020 as part of the Speaking Out movement, I was released from my contract with the WWE. I didn't release a statement then because it didn't feel the right thing to do at the time. I have now taken the time to process what has happened and would like to respond. In 2014, at a New Year's Eve party, I met a young woman and my behavior towards her was inappropriate. At the party was nearly 6 years ago, and I had drunk quite a large amount of alcohol that night. Unfortunately, I don't recall what happened. I wish to make it clear that drinking is not an excuse for my behavior that night. I want to express my deepest regrets, and I am genuine sorry for the upset that I have caused. Following these allegations, I proactively contacted the head of WWE Talent Relations to take my responsibility for my actions, as I was aware that the woman who made these allegations and I had both attended the same New Year's Eve party. I was then informed that this would be a breach of the company ethics policy, and this would lead to my release from the WWE, from my contract with the WWE. This isolated incident is not reflective of my behavior and attitude towards women. As a man, I know I can do better. And with the support of my wife, I have taken the time over the last few months to understand what can I do. But this is not about me, but about the women that came forward as part of the Speaking Out movement. I will continue to support the movement to the best of my ability. So that is Jack Gallagher's statement that he put out. I know some of you are saying that he is full of shit and all this other stuff. I get it. I get it. You guys don't want to believe it, but sometimes you need to hear. But I do believe he is totally genuine. He did state it. He doesn't remember what happened. He's also stating that he's not excusing himself from drinking alcohol that night that led to that very incident that very day. And he's taking responsibility. He knew that what he did was wrong, and he decided to take responsibilities for his action that led him to be released from WWE. Now, I know some of you may comment about this that he's full of crap. But that's all we gonna talk about. I hope you guys keep an open mind. But if you guys don't believe a word he says, that's fine. Just keep your comments to yourself because I get it. I'm not taking sides. Sometimes we as wrestlers and fans feel disappointed in guys like Jack Gallagher and others who were accused of these allegations back in June. It sucks, but it is what it is. But sometimes, do we know these people can be better than they were before we knew the allegations? You may never know. So right now, let's just jump in at the opportunity with NXT UK. All right, so this NXT UK episode was the start of the Heritage Cup that we've seen. It has been mentioned. We know there has been wrestlers, 8 of them that actually were going to participate. Only 7 of them have been revealed, but they actually introduced a wild card match who will gain the final entry to participate in the Heritage Cup and face Trent Seven, who is one of the spot that is going to be filled out. So they opened it up with a triple threat match between Kenny Williams, um, Ashton Smith, and Amir Jordan. Now, this was a very interesting match because Amir Jordan and Kenny Williams have been tag teaming partners for a while. They know exactly, but they were determined to see who could advance further. But this was a pretty good match. I'm not gonna lie. Kenny Williams and Amir did not hold back. They knew what was at stakes, but only one of them can win. Now, Ashton Smith seems like he was the powerhouse who somehow was gonna win this one. But my surprise was the winner for this match was Kenny Williams. So he is taking the final spot in the Heritage Cup, and he will face Trent Seven. So this is gonna be interesting. So right now we're getting started with the Heritage Cup. Now, next thing we have is an interview with Webster and Morgan. Now, as you all know, before the whole pandemic, Webster was attacked out of nowhere. No one knows who, in fact, hit him in the knee. Gallus were the mostly prime suspects for it, but it did not. But we are going to see him return. But unfortunately, we do know that Flash Gordon Morgan, he is in fact going to participate at the Heritage Cup. So we're going to see how things progress between these two because we do know they are good as a tag team, but how good are they as a singles competitor? Next thing we have is a women's match. This one was between Zaya Brookside versus Ginny. Now we do know that this is from what I understand through the commentary, this was not the first time that these two have come across. Ginny is now becoming the most dominant force ever, who is determined to win the NXT UK Women's Championship. I don't know if they're gonna put her against Kaylee Ray or Kaylee Ray will lose it to someone. Who knows? We do know Kaylee Ray is currently unbeatable. But the match itself was pretty interesting and very great. I mean, it did show Zaya really taking up a notch, even though she's trying to avoid the mistakes that she did against Jenny the first time. But unfortunately, sometimes new tricks arise, or they just adapt. So Jenny picked up the victory. She left an interesting promo how she is a force to be reckoned. So she made her statement and she has made her shot that she will be coming for the NXT UK Women's Championship. Now, the next thing we have is, of course, the main event that they had, which for the Heritage Cup. Now, they set out the rules on this one. We're going to have 6 of 3-minute rounds. So that means there's going to be rounds. So basically, you have to pick up a pinfall or submission. But if you cannot pick up a victory, then you don't get nothing. So it's a little interesting. The rules are kind of. Then there'll be 20-second breaks between the rounds. 2 out of 3 falls. So you have to have 2 wins in order to win. And then we have the way to win is either pinfall, submission, or countout. Now the first match of the Heritage Cup was the opening round between Noam Dar and Alexander Wolf with special guest Pete Dunne. Now, this match was more of a revenge match between Alexander Wolf and Noam Dar. Now, if you guys haven't seen, not too long ago when we first started with the NXT UK, when it came back after many months of not being broadcast because of the pandemic, Noam Dar got in the face of Alien Dragunov, but however, Alexander Wolf was trying to ensure that he loses, costing Noam Dar the match. And this was more of a revenge match for Noam Dar because he's a cocky dude and he's trying to win. But much of the match, he's been dominating for the first round and then first fall and then and so on and so on. But I was like thinking somehow Alexander Wolf's gonna catch up, but it didn't. But Noam Dar still has issues towards Pete Dunne, and so does Alexander Wolf. But however, he tried to kick Pete Dunne's head off, but he missed, got Alexander Wolf, and took advantage of it and picked up the victory. Now, as soon as the match was over, Alexander Wolf thought he set him up, even though Pete Dunne had no intentions of doing that. However, when the fight was continue on, here comes the NXT UK champion, Walter, trying to beat down. No, if you guys recall the history between those two, it was Walter who defeated and unreigned Walter. Walter was the one who dethroned um, Pete Dunne after 600 and plus days. When the beatdown was going, here comes Ilya Dragunov, who is the number one contender to face Walter. Now, this is going to be interesting, so we will continue more with the Heritage Cup on the upcoming weeks. We'll see who would win it. So we do know Noam Dar is advancing. So don't know yet what's going to happen for the upcoming week. But we do know that Ilya Dragunov and Walter will face off each other for the NXT UK Championship. So I think that's pretty much it for the NXT UK stuff. So let's move on with New Japan Strong. Continue on with the Lions Break Crown. All right, so we're doing the NJPW Strong, the continuation of the semifinals for the Lions Break Crown. So we have two matches that will lead. Whoever wins their respective matches will be in the finals to face off for this tournament. Now, the first match was Logan Regal versus Clark Connors. Now, this is a very interesting match. Now, Logan Regal was the one that got lucky last week when he was facing the DKZ, even though DKC looked more like he had him under his grasp, but he didn't. Then we have Clark Connors, who's been considered the fan favorite to win this match. So this is going to be one of those matches you know you have to pay attention. And man, the one thing that you cannot count out is knowing Clark Connors is determined to win. We already know Carl Anderson is no longer part of the Young Lions, so Clark Connors could be next in line to leave, and pretty much it. But you cannot deny his ability when he uses the Boston Crab on Logan. It's devastating. So it was so devastating that happened, but it was great to see that. Next, Clark Connors actually won that match. My bad. So the next match for the semifinals in the Lions Break Crown, we have Blake Christians and Danny Limelight. Now, Blake Christian has been suffering some rib problems. If you guys have the NJPW World Live on Demand, apparently Christian's ribs are more exposed. You can tell that someone could, how do I say, exploit that. You know, that's something that we've seen with many wrestlers that want to take a piece of them. But yeah, but this match was great. Blake was not determined to quit. He wants to continue despite the fact of his injuries. But of course, Danny took advantage of that. But no matter what, Blake Christian actually had a great match. But however, it's Danny Limelight who took the victory on this one. So it's now been confirmed that the following week for the NJPW Lions Break Crown, it's going to be Clark Connors versus Danny Limelight. Now, I'm familiarized with Danny a lot, but Clark Connors, I'm getting more into seeing him how he is. So got to pay attention to that. Now the next match is a tag team match. We have um, Brody King once again teaming with Flip Gordon, taking on Carl Fredrickson and TJP. Now this is one of those matches that you don't want to be in front of Brody King, because you know what he's capable of. You know he's dangerous, but however, you know for a fact you don't want to crosshairs. But it happened. Clark Carl Fredrickson is still looking for his first victory, his first win since leaving the dojo as a young lion. So that's one of those things you got to pay attention. So far, he not picked up a victory, even in the latest, NJPW Strong. So it's kind of okay. So what's it gonna take for this guy to pick up his first victory? So we're waiting to see that to happen. But however, Brody King and Flip pick up the victory, so they won this one. Now on to the main event. We have an 8-man tag. We have Bullet Club members Herculeo, Chase Owens, Kenta, and of course Jay White facing off against Misterioso, Rocky Romero, Jeff Cobb, and David Finlay. Now, this is a very interesting. As you know, Kenta is the current title holder for the contract that has an opportunity to face for the IWGP United States Championship, who's currently being held by John Moxley. There's still no word on this one, because we do know John Moxley, his contract's out, but they're still naming him as the champion. But however, there's a little wrinkle to it. I'll explain that in a little bit. But the match was great. However, Rocky was trying to be Taguchi. I think that was a mistake. There is only one Taguchi, but he missed it. But also, you got to be careful with Hakuleo. He's a huge dude. You got to stay away from him. But the match was so intense and great. I enjoyed him. Even the commentator, what's his name? What's his name? Rocky's former partner. Ivan? No. Forgot his name. But yeah, so he wants to join the Bullet Club, but that's how it is. But what however this ended, it turns out there's a target on Kenta's back. They want that contract so bad. So we're just gotta wait and see how that's gonna turn out, because that's gonna be an interesting dilemma. Basically, Kenta will not put that contract on the line until he gets what he wants, a shot of John Moxley. Now, you ask me this: why is that a problem with John Moxley? You see, there's a little dilemma. If you guys followed the last year's G1, John Moxley was in the B block, but on the first day of the G1, they started out with the A block. But however, the B blockers were set up in a tag team match, which is like a preview for their following day against their upcoming opponent. But however, John Moxley was exclusive only in the United States, since he's currently with AEW. So basically, if there's any New Japan shows in the US, he's strictly forbidden to participate. Um, but there's been talk about certain things regarding to New Japan and all this other stuff. But I'll explain all that maybe at the end. We'll see where they're gonna go. So I think that's it right now. So let's move on to NXT Takeover 31. Boy, NXT Takeover 30 was unbelievable, awesome. I enjoyed every match. There hasn't been one match that sucked whatsoever, in my personal opinion. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but let's talk about it regardless. The first match of the night was for the NXT North American Championship between Damian Priest and Johnny Gargano. Now, keep in mind, the story goes Johnny Gargano believes if he obtained the North American Championship, then he will establish what he believes is the Gargano way, where he wants to reinvent NXT into his image, he and his wife. So he already had set everything in motion. But man, this match was so freaking insane, brutalizing, insane in every possible way. Even Johnny Gargano was trying to use every dirty trick in the book or everything that he had on his arsenal. However, there was a moment he did. Damian Priest landed on the security guards, and the ref did not see that Gargano kicked um, Priest right in the groin. He thought it would be giving him the opportunity to win the title, but it did not. But somehow Damian Priest was able to survive and retain his title. This will be his second successful title defense. So basically, the Gargano way may not happen whatsoever. So he continued on. Now the next match, this one was becoming a bit of a rivalry between Kushida versus Velveteen Dream. Now what led this rivalry to happen? Let's go back to back when the North American Championship was vacant. As you all remembered, Kushida was in the match against Velveteen Dream and Cameron Grimes. Now, because Cameron Grimes won the match, Velveteen Dream took his frustrations out on Velveteen Dream, and this is one of those things that happened. Kushida came back and got his payback against Velveteen Dream, tried to break his arm off. So he became a vicious person, and then Velveteen Dream showed up again, costing Kushida a chance to face for the NXT Championship that later was won by Kyle O'Reilly. So we're getting to see a side of Kushida where he's more vicious, more aggressive than we ever were before. Now, why is this important? Why is this whole thing with Kushida is now becoming aggressive and he's more vicious? Well, could be the sign he could be jumping ship as a heel. Now, if you guys don't know this, the reason he left New Japan, he wanted to go a different direction. He did talk to Geto, the booker for New Japan Pro Wrestling and Jay White's manager, mediator, whatever he is. Geto said no. I mean, it would have been interesting to see Kushida as a bad guy, but it didn't happen that way. But if you guys are fans of heels and you guys would love to see that, then this could be the beginning of that. Now, I don't know when that's going to happen, but man, that match was so crazy, so brutal. Like, Kushida was determined to break Velveteen Dream's arm off. It was like crazy. I did not expect that, but it was unbelievable. You get to see a side of Kushida you couldn't imagine. But once the match was over, when Kushida won, he continued to break his arm. I don't think Velveteen Dream expected this whatsoever. So we don't know if this, like, how the storyline will play out with Velveteen Dream getting his arm broken, how his condition. Are they going to continue with the feud with Kushida? We'll see how that goes. But it was a great match with Kushida. Now, the biggest news happened. We just had the return of Halloween Havoc. It's going to take place on, what was it? October 28th. And of course, it's been told Shotzi Blackheart is going to play the host. Basically be the Elvira of that. If you guys had never seen WCW, they had Elvira do their Halloween Havoc show, that type of thing. But it was kind of cool. I think I might have seen bits and pieces long time ago. But it's great to see it. Now, next thing we have is for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. This is between Santos Escobar and, of course, Isaiah Scott. Now, as you all know, this rivalry is taken back ever since Santos has won the Cruiserweight title, revealing himself that he was the mastermind between the abductions of Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza. But there was one thing that was in Santos' mind. He hasn't forgotten his loss towards Isaiah Scott. So basically, that's the rivalry. He thinks that he is far more better than Isaiah Scott, that his bag of tricks are not efficient. But however, he did have Legado being there, Tweedledee and Tweedledum were there trying to interfere. But out of nowhere, here comes, what's his name? Ashante Adonis, who gave Isaiah Scott a fighting chance. It was very shocking. We didn't expect that, but however, it wasn't enough. Santos Escobar picked up the victory on this one. So the real question is, Who could be the one to dethrone Santos Escobar since he claimed he's untouchable, that no one can beat him? Well, we'll just wait and see what happens. Now, the next match is for the NXT Women's Championship. Now, this is another one of those Gargano way matches. Basically, Candice LeRae felt the same way, believing that if she beats Io Shirai, that basically she will become that they will reinvent the NXT under their image with the Gargano way. So this match was so brutal. Even though Candice LeRae have already lost towards her once before, she thinks that she's a whole different person. That this time it will be different, but this time it's not. Io Shirai is becoming a fighting champion, no matter what um, curveballs were thrown at her. But it was a great match. But however, the one thing that changed it, that became the turning point for this, the referee got knocked down out of nowhere, and here comes Johnny Gargano doing a fast count to ensure Candice LeRae showed up, was winning. But however, Io Shirai got out of it. But when the referee came to, he saw what he did, so he gave the title to Candice LeRae to knock her out. Now that maneuver would have been enough for Io Shirai to lose the match, but however, it proven her determination no matter what. So basically, it didn't work, but Io Shirai picked up the victory on this one. So that means the Gargano way is not gonna happen ever. But however, post match, we just saw the surprise video screen of former NXT UK Women's Champion Toni Storm. So basically, she already called her shot, claiming she's coming for Io Shirai and her title. But it turns out she's not the only one, that turns out. Recent weeks, we have seen this mysterious biker. We don't know who this person is. It turned out to be Ember Moon. Yes, the former NXT Women's Champion, Ember Moon, has returned. I haven't seen her for a while, but man, it's great to see her back again. I'm happy that she's back. I'm happy that Triple H took the time to bring her back, to see her. She's now happy where she is now. I know things haven't been going well with her at the main roster, but we'll see how that goes. So I can't wait to see who will face Io Shirai for the title, but can't wait to see Ember Moon and Toni Storm make a new impact on NXT. Then we had the interview with Ashante Adonis. Now, he did state that he wanted to give Isaiah Scott a fighting chance because, if you know, recently Legado Fantasma has been causing all kinds of hell in 205 Live. So that's kind of bizarre the way it was. But now he already is setting out his mark. But I'm going to see. But I have that distinct feeling this is not the end of it. There will be repercussions by Legado to get their hands on Adonis for what he's done. So that's my personal thing that's going to happen. Now, it's slobber knocker time. It's the main event. The NXT Championship on the line between Kyle O'Reilly, who recently won the Eliminator Gauntlet Eliminator, facing off against the Prince himself, the current champion, Finn Balor. But man, this match was great. I enjoyed it. I love it. It did show a bit more of Kyle O'Reilly as a singles competitor. Now, some of you ask yourselves, I never seen him as a singles competitor before. If you guys haven't seen him as a single competitor, look it up on YouTube, or if you guys have Honor Club, the Ring of Honor app, where you can watch many of Kyle O'Reilly's matches. He has been a singles competitor before. It's not the first time, but he's done it before. But it's great to see him now. But the one thing that was crazy was blood coming out of Finn Balor's mouth. Damn, so crazy. But at the same time, the way this match ended, Finn Balor gave the coup de grace. That was a great match. But at the end of the match, Finn Balor showed great respect for Kyle O'Reilly. But however, something has happened. As when they were showing their respect, they oversee at this other side of the ring, Ridge Holland carrying the body of Adam Cole. Adam Cole was already been beaten Nobody knows what is going on here. What is Rich Holland's angle? Why did he attack um, Adam Cole? I guess we might see this in the upcoming weeks. What's gonna happen? Um, but as for Adam Cole, what's gonna happen now? If you guys know this, there have been discussions that they're saying that maybe two members of the Undisputed Era could move on to the main roster. Now there is no word who could be, but one person I thinking it could, it possibly it possibly can be Adam Cole. I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate, but I do see that he could be the one guy who could cross over to the main roster. Maybe Kyle O'Reilly can continue on with the Undisputed Era as his faction until he builds it up. So that's my opinion. So let me give you guys this last few talks right now. So I'll be right back. Guys, I know I did a lot of great talking here. I know some of you guys could be questioning about me talking about Jack Gallagher, a very despicable guy. Now, I'm not saying I take his side or taking the women's side, but it is what it is, what's coming out right now. Now, if you guys feel sympathetic for Jack Gallagher, then good for you. You guys have the right to talk about that. If you guys don't, that's cool too. That's, we're not here to try to judge me on everything. I'm just putting out what's out there right now for the wrestling content, what's been happening with these wrestlers, what's been going on in the wrestling world with matches or events like this. Um, as you all know, I've been recently been talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling. Apparently, Tony Khan has now talked about could there be a partnership between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, recently we have seen Nick Jackson talk about this never going to happen. Now, people are saying this now about Harold Mage, who served as the president. Well, he's currently still serving president, but he will not leave the company until the end of October of this month. So they're saying, could his presence leaving could bring up? I don't know. The problem is apparently there have been some lost uh, money that they had been losing money for who knows how long this happened. Harold Mage was brought in as the guy who was going to lead the company into the future to expand all over the globe outside of Japan. I know they have established here in the United States, but it's still unclear what has been happening. Now, you can ask yourself, could this be a possibility? That all depends. I do know from what Nico told me that he talked to Brian Cutler when he talked to when he met the Young Bucks. They said there have been some disagreements between the top levels of New Japan and the Young Bucks. But of course, they were never allowed to put a lot of the content, the wrestling content, on being the elite. They wanted to control it, and they tried. And that's always been like that for them, whatever the scenarios. But we do know they lost a lot of great talent that they defected from New Japan to AEW. We're talking about the Best Friends. Um, who else? Kenny, Cody, the Bucks, Hangman, and I'm trying to remember who else. Oh yeah, and of course Lance Archer, who we have seen he defected there too. So basically, that's the whole point that's been happening. But I know many fans are been hoping that somewhere down the line we could see New Japan and AEW having a partnership. Now we do know they are currently in a partnership with Ring of Honor, but there has been some things like people question it. We have seen um, not a lot of the Japanese wrestlers from New Japan have appeared in Ring of Honor of recently. The reason this has happened, it took place a year ago at the G1 Supercard. If you all recall, with the four-way tag team match, we had an unexpected surprise from Enzo and Big Cass XL. So that was one of the reasons why. But this is my opinion. What they should do, they should just put aside their egos. New Japan needs to put their egos aside and think about this. AEW has a much bigger platform than Ring of Honor. Now, don't get me wrong, Ring of Honor does has some great talent, but the problem is they're not making their products stand out more. We don't see them here in California. They're not allowed here, but Only certain areas that Sinclair, the owner, has that it's related to their channel. Only certain areas, and I feel like that's a load of crap on their part. But like I said, AEW has a much bigger platform. I mean, who we could see Tanahashi or Kota Ibushi, Okada or Naito come down here. I think that's something they could benefit. I mean, people would love to see those wrestlers from Japan come to the United States and come to AEW. That's how I would love to see that. But however, we all gotta wait and see what's gonna happen. It's if Harold Mage is gonna be the person to be the reason AEW will uh, partner up with New Japan. We'll just gotta wait and see when that's gonna happen. So I will stick to this closely as possible and see how far we can go. So I think that's about it for now. So I must bid all of you adieu. So leave a comment down below. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.